and welcome to Drive and Double Feature Podcast. I'm Nathan.
I'm Ryan.
And this is the podcast where we talk about 2 movies a week every Tuesday and Thursday. But before we get into today's episode, I want to talk to you about our Patreon. If you head over to patreon.com/Drive and Double Feature Podcast, you got fun games, fun conversations, stuff like that, just for $5 a month. You help support the podcast. But guess what? No main show content is locked behind the Patreon. But getting into today's movie, I am talking about, or sorry, I should say we. It's just me. Ryan is asleep. I'm
Oh,
taking over the
yeah,
podcast.
all right. Yeah, I'll just step out.
Yeah. No, we are talking about 1958's The Horse's Mouth, directed by Ronald Neame and starring Alec Guinness, and probably his most famous role. At least I believe so. I would say this is his most famous. Um,
No, Nathan, come on. I think you're forgetting one big glaring
oh,
error.
what is that?
It's Bridge on the River Kwai, Nathan. He won an
Oh,
Oscar from that one. How
that
could you
is
forget
true.
that?
That is true. I think that's the one that everybody remembers from Alec Guinness. I know later on his career kind of fizzled out, and he was only in like junk, like this Star Wars movie. What a
I
piss
mean,
way to end.
he got a little desperate towards the end where he had to do brown face and Passage to India. So,
Yeah. Well, that wasn't the first time he did brown face in his career. It is what it is. Uh,
but, I mean, there's like I think you said there was another credit he did, like some like budget movie or something, like some micro budget movie.
something Star War. War.
Star is it War or Wars?
I think it's. I think it's just
I
one.
they yeah, well, I mean they can't have multiple wars in one movie, so
Yeah, that would be
if you
stupid. Have you ever
Star
seen a
War.
World War I and World War II movie? I don't think so. You pick one or the other.
I mean, yeah, you can't have two wars in one movie.
Yeah, so I think it's just Star Wars. But anyway, that's just a blip on his career. Today we are talking about The Horse's Mouth, which Ryan, when I picked this movie, you said you'd been looking to watch this one for a long time. So why were you so interested in this one?
I mean, it was when I was watching a lot of Oscar nominee movies, and I have one. I had watched Bridge on the River Kwai because, like I said, Alec Guinness won Best Actor for that movie,
Mhm.
and I was also just looking at his credits, and I saw he was also nominated for another Oscar, and it was actually for this movie because he this movie was nominated for Best Screenplay, which Alec Guinness is the screenwriter for this movie.
Yep.
And I don't know, like, not the poster that's on Letterbox, but I don't know, like I've always seen like the real cartoony looking poster
Where he's
for
got
this movie.
like the weird smile on his face, very like sly.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like he's from like a Sunday Comics or whatever, like the funnies. It looks
Yeah.
I it looks funny. I mean, I was just kind of like, oh, that looks kind of neat. So, but I mean, it's probably been like I don't know, 15 years or something like that since I've been wanting to watch this, and I just never got around to it.
Yeah, because it's a movie that I don't think pops up very often. The reason I picked it is because I've been going through the Criterion collection, kind of check marking off movies that are in the collection that I haven't watched. Just kind of a fun little project I've been doing recently. And The Horse's Mouth does have a Criterion collection edition. And I read the plot synopsis and I was like, sounds interesting for a movie. Or sorry, for a podcast. So I decided to pick it. I actually had never heard of this movie before, so this is completely new to me. But I did learn that, yes, Alec Guinness wrote this movie, and it's based off of a book, which this is one of his few, if not, it might be his only screenwriting credit. He was really interested in playing this literary character to the point where he would write the role for himself so he could be in it. Um, so it's got an interesting, I guess you could say, vanity project little angle to it too. But it's definitely a performance movie. So Alec Guinness plays Gully Jimson, who is a an eccentric artist, and I got to put a lot of power on eccentric. He is insane. He in the beginning of the movie, we see him just getting out of prison because he calls up this rich guy to to threaten his life as different people putting on different voices. And like, can you're better at impressions than me. Can you give an example of how Alec Guinness speaks in this movie? It is something else.
Um, yeah, it's just like, oh yes, Mr. Goodman. No, he's much more gravelier than that. It's
Yes,
like,
it's very gravelly, super, super British. Like it is and speaks in almost like one-liners. Everything's a damn joke. Everything's a sarcastic joke in this movie.
yeah, I'm trying to think of a quote because without just, oh yeah, oh yeah. Okay, here we go. It's like, now go on, do something sensible and choosing yourself. Don't be an artist.
Yeah, exactly.
Something
Just
like something,
yeah,
something like that.
always complaining about artists, or being an artist. So that's what this movie's whole deal is that he's an artist. He focuses on the art to the point where it's completely ruining his life. I think at one point he's just like, you don't be an artist because it is a miserable, miserable life. Everyone wants it, but once you have it, you just never have a fulfilled life. And so he gets out, and you can tell he's a little schemer. That's like his whole deal too. He's a
He's a little
schemer.
schemer.
Yeah, he's always pulling tricks or pulling stunts on people. Like there's this young guy throughout this whole movie, and in the beginning, it's like, I want to train under you. I want to be your protege. Teach me how to paint.
His name is Nosy.
Yeah, nosy, which yeah, he is. He's always up in his business. But he can I do love the bit where like he once again a little schemer, he goes up to payphones and gets the little change. So he's like, "Oh, now I got a couple quarters." That's Alec Guinness. And he gets nosy to buy him a beer, and in the meantime he steals his bike away from him. So it's just like he's always getting in the trouble, always doing something wrong. And I feel like that's definitely the movie is about this character, and the one reason to really follow it and enjoy it is just to see where this character goes and what he does, not necessarily what's going on in the plot.
Yeah, I would say like the plot in this movie is very light
Yeah.
because there's not really a whole lot to speak of because at first, he's trying to get his paintings back because while he was in jail,
Hmm.
um, his ex-wife um, ended up giving away all of his paintings to this rich guy because basically Jimson had a bunch of debt and he gave away all these paintings. So he's trying to recover them and get them back. And so that's like the first half of this movie is just him trying to recover these paintings. And then the movie just kind of takes like a more, I guess, obsessive term. I mean, like kind of angle where he really wants to do like this big giant mural. He's seeing like this big opus. But yeah, I mean, it's mostly him and this barmaid that he's
Hmm.
friends with, like kind of just kind of having like a back and forth with each other and getting into hijinks.
Pretty much, yeah. It just hops around a lot. It reminds me of a lot. Well, this is a 50s movie, but it still reminds me of like British 60s movies where very like it's not a counterculture movie, but the plot is definitely, like you said, it's just loose and you're going to hop around a lot. It kind of like, oh, here's an idea. We're going to go to that idea and then we'll go to a different idea right after. Because you think the movie, like you said, in the beginning it's a like kind of a plot to get these paintings back because his ex-wife sells it to the rich man that he's calling and threatening his life, to pay off a debt, but it's a very cheap debt and his paintings are worth a lot more than that.
Yeah, well, I think I like a lot of the scenes because he calls up this guy, the rich guy, and basically threatens him. He's like, oh, I'm going to burn your house down and chop up your liver or whatever type of thing.
Uh-huh.
And and then like the police like catch him and it's just like, hey, you need to stop causing trouble there. And he's like, oh, I only did it. I only said I was gonna like chop up his liver and burn his house down. I mean, what's the big deal?
Yeah, exactly. Which, yeah, I think that's funny. Is just how like nonchalant he is with all of this, and like it's funny the schemes because one of the phone calls he's like, he puts on like a woman's voice, like, "Oh, I'm the princess of whatever,"
Oh, what was it, like the Duchess of Glasgow or Edinburgh or whatever?
Yeah, but like I think it's so funny because the rich dude, he knows every time that it's the
Right?
guy, he still
Yeah,
takes it. He still takes the call every time.
and he's just so like unmoved by. He's just like, oh yes, he's like, hello, Mr. Jimson, type of thing.
Yeah, and like I guess his work staff is looking to quit because of these like relentless calls from him. So that sets up a scheme where him and the
Okay.
barmaid. Oh, god.
Oh, I do want to say though, it is funny because when he says at one point the rich guy, he's just basically just like, if you're going to kill me, just do it. But I'd rather you do that than keep phoning me every hour.
Yeah, I like that. And like that's actually a good point that this movie it's pretty funny. I think it's a solidly funny movie. It's definitely a
It's a very
British.
not it. It's a very unserious movie. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and it's all about its dialogue. I would say there's not a lot of gags that are visual. It's a lot of like listening to what they're saying and kind of like retorts and stuff like that. Because that's like the bulk of like whenever the barmaid and Alec Guinness they go to the rich guy's house to try to convince him to give back the paintings or figure out where the paintings are actually. Uh, they just and like they have to escape because the police show up. And there's a part where the maid is like she's on her knees and they're like, "Oh yeah, I wanted to bring my child here today." That's like I don't know, just goofy little stuff like that.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
She gets on her knees and say, "Oh yes, I brought my daughter here with me."
It's funny. So yeah, but that whole deal takes up a good chunk of the first movie, and then I feel like we forget about it. Because we run into his wife who has the paintings but kept all but one. And her deal is that they try to confront her at like over and over again about where the paintings are at. What can I do with them? And the whole time she just is like, "Oh, my tea is really hot. Oh, you want me to go get the tea?" Just completely skips over any type of conflict.
She is like I didn't know. Like at first, I was like more trying to figure out if she was more very absent-minded or like she was intentionally doing that to kind of avoid this conversation.
Mhm.
Because at first, I think she's kind of played very ditzy, kind of, or
Yes, yeah.
very. But I mean, but then as we learn, though, I think there's some like she's at least aware of like how he operates, and
Yeah,
it's almost like she's having these conversations or like kind of avoiding certain topics just so that way, um, just because she knows like that's just how he operates, type of thing.
exactly. And he even says the same thing. It's like, I know, I was with her for so long. I know exactly the way she acts. So I feel like they knew each other. And also, she didn't want to reveal her hand that she had the painting, which is revealed at the end of the movie that she did keep one of the paintings for sentimental value. Specifically the one where she's in it because she likes to peek at herself. Um, so that's one thing that we learn, and it gets worse and worse as you get later into the movie. Alec Guinness really likes feet in this movie. Like I was not expecting, like he's all about feet in paintings. He's like, I got to see the feet, and then like he even will talk about like, oh, I love old, or he, I don't remember if he loves it, but he talks about old people's feet being
He
like
loves
hooks into
old.
the ground.
He's very very obsessed with feet in this movie,
Yes.
and he does mention like old women's feet. He's like, oh, old women's feet, they're so flat and veiny and just and he at one point where he like we haven't mentioned, but where he has to paint this mural,
Hmm.
he gets like this man to come up who has these big feet,
Hmm.
and he's just using them as a reference. The guy's just laying on this couch with like his big feet in the air, and he's just using it as a reference while he paints.
Yeah, and I love it because there's another guy there, and he's like, "I'm telling you, there's too many feet in this
I
painting."
Yeah, that was the rival guy that
Yeah.
which that's he plays Alfred in the Tim Burton Batman movies.
Oh my God, I didn't realize that. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Um, Interesting. But yeah, so how that all happens is that Jimson ends up convincing this group of rich people to, because they just want a small painting from him, but he sees this wall, this perfect wall to paint something on. It's like a blank space, and he's just obsessed with the idea of being able to paint on this. So he schemes them into letting him live there and paint on this wall and give them a small painting. And it's like, it's almost like they, none of them want it, but he forces them through wordplay to make it happen.
Yeah, because he's asking for an astronomical sum because
Yeah.
she likes one of his paintings because she admired I think it was the older guy when he had like one of his paintings because that was one thing he did have. He had a very prominent picture, one of Jimson's painting thing in his living room, and
Mhm.
one the lady there saw it, and she was actually a big fan, and he knew about it. So he's like, "Oh, like I can go there and do a painting." And he's like, "Oh, that'll be, $5,000." And they're like, "Oh, that's a little steep." He's
Mhm.
like, "Yes, well, you're millionaires. That shouldn't really bother you too much." And so that, but yeah, he sees like this big blank wall where they had like a tapestry that they took down, and
Mhm.
they're like, "Oh yes, we had a tapestry there. We were gonna put something." But yeah, they go off on a holiday or something like, and they
Mhm.
give him the keys to the apartment, and him and his friends kind of like free reign of the place while he paints.
Yeah, they, like, wreck the place, like, it's destroyed and he paints, but it gets worse because his rival shows up who is what do you call that?
Sculptor.
The sculptor, thank you. He sculpts and he has this giant stone, uh, like a brick that he's working on,
Airlifted or
slate.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, and it becomes like a whole fight, and then it ends up crashing through the ground, creating a hole to the floor below, and then they end up making this huge artist studio where like they're sculpting on the bottom, there's stuff going up on top. He even poaches. There's a girl that he's like painting the feet of, and then the sculptor actually poaches that girl and makes her the muse for this sculpture, to the point where she can't move. And I mean, like, she's just sitting there getting sculpted, and she physically her joints are locked, and she has to be fed.
Yeah, she can't move. She's like, "Oh, I've been like this for 6 weeks."
Yeah, which I thought was
Like
goofy.
they're like they're like, "Well, you need to like put your arms down so you can like eat." And she's like, "I can't."
Physically can't. But yeah, so that whole plot line, it gets wrapped up. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it just
But
kinda, like, ends.
I do like the like little details because that guy is sculpting so much of that marble that there's like this layer of dust over everything.
Yes,
Like
that's right.
everyone's all covered with like dust and stuff from
Mhm,
like the stone. Like it's risen to the top because since that marble slab like crashed to the floor, like there's this big open hole in the
mhm.
ground,
Yeah.
and everyone's just covered in this layer of dust. But like you said, Jimson finishes the painting, and then his rival, like you said, like looks up at it, and he's just like, there's too many feet on there because it's just like this. It's literally like a forest of feet. It's just like
Yeah.
foot, foot, foot. That's just like a foot, foot, and there's just like a random tiger like in the corner.
Which is so funny. Which the other painting is kinda like that too.
Yeah, and but he's just like, he's right. And he like after he leaves, the rival leaves, he's just like, he's right. Like there is too many feet,
Yeah.
and and he's got this big giant hole in the ground, and at first like he's using the carpet to like he uses a rug to cover up that giant hole, not because he's trying to cover up the hole for like, oh, I hope they don't see it, but because the guy downstairs is being too loud and he doesn't want to
Mhm.
hear from him anymore. And the owner of the apartment, she comes back, and at first they're just kind of like, "Oh my God, like my wall," and they run towards the painting, and they all fall, like the three of them like fall down that hole, and he's just like, "All right, well, time to go," type of thing.
Yeah. Alright, job's done, I'm outta here. And that's when he ends up going home, and it takes a little more of a sour note. or a sadder note, I should say, where the barmaid actually she's lost her job because of him. So now she is living in the
Houseboat.
houseboat. And and he gets really sick from being out in the rain, so they end up taking care of each other, and they seem to grow a lot closer of a bond. Um, and that's when his like obsession with being an artist starts to like grow and grow even more. And then there's this building that's going to be torn down, and that's where
Well,
oh go ahead.
yeah, that's where we well, because we find out that the old man, the rich man, had died,
Yeah, that's right.
and
Yeah.
he did sell all of Jimson's paintings
Hmm.
to like the National Art Gallery. He's like, oh, he's giving it
Hmm.
back to the nation or whatever, and he actually becomes
Super
like
famous.
somewhat famous, yeah.
Hmm.
And that's when he has like another whole interaction with his ex-wife,
Yeah.
and they get into like a tugging match with like the painting, and then she
Hmm.
falls backwards and like knocks herself out. He's like, oh, I could have killed her.
Yeah, yeah. I forgot all about that scene. But yeah, like I guess that's where the movie takes an interesting turn. Is that yeah, he does become famous. I mean, this is later on in the movie. I think it's at the end where they actually go to the art gallery, and I think she's given up the painting of her, and she's been there like 7 times to just see that painting of herself on the wall again and again. But yeah, he decides he's gonna do painting classes to a group of people like, oh, I can teach you how to paint. But really what it is there's this giant wall on this building that's going to be
It's an
destroyed.
old church.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, this is my magnum opus. This is where I'm going to make my most famous painting. So he gets everybody all of these students together to paint different sections of the wall. And of course, hijinks happens. Hijinks ensues. You know, shit. There's a girl that's like, she paints the giraffe's face in the wrong section. But what I like about that interaction, everybody else is mad, but Jimson's like, it happens. You know, we paint artists
Yeah,
paint giraffes' heads in the wrong place all the time.
there's another interaction too where this girl had did a picture of a whale.
Hmm.
He's like, you drew it up, you did it upside down. Yeah, he's like, oh, you did it upside down. She's like, no, I didn't. Like the whale's eye should be above the mouth. He's like,
Hmm.
no, that's not how I do it. That I do it the opposite way because I did it that way. They would just be pictures.
Yeah, which I like that is like it's like it wouldn't be a painting if it was just written or drawn the correct way. Um, and then he actually gets the
But,
woman. Oh, go ahead.
No,
Oh,
no, I was gonna say what you were gonna say.
yeah, he actually gets the woman who he painted the wall of to come in and help work on the painting, and she's the one who does the giraffe's eye, I believe.
Hmm.
Yeah, which I think is I think that's like kind
Well,
of a cute interaction because she's like an
he,
aspiring painter.
and she loved the foot mural, by the way. Like she
Yes.
like had pictures taken of her standing in front of the foot mural.
Yeah, and her husband was not having it. But the kind of the end of the movie is that well, the church is going to be destroyed, and even though some of the students tried really hard to keep it up, they're going to tear it down anyway. So this painting gets made. I won't call it beautiful. I'm not into this man's art. I'll say that, but you know, it's still art. But they do destroy it. There's like a really far away shot of, and it's in slow mo too, of like a crane like wrecking this wall.
Well, he actually destroys it because he actually
Oh,
commandeers
that's right.
one of the construction vehicles. So he actually gets like the bulldozer and he
Hmm.
drives it into the wall
That's right.
because he's like, well, if they were gonna knock it down anyway, I wanted to be the one to destroy it, type of thing.
Yeah, yeah, and that you know what, it makes sense to me. Um, so yeah, it's kind of like I'm realizing this is like a movie told in like 3 parts, right? You have like the storyline at the beginning about him getting the paintings back, and then you have the storyline about him painting the wall, and then the final storyline of him painting on this destroyed church. It feels really episodic, and maybe
Hmm.
it's like loosely connected, but I think what it is the book actually is not told from the point of view of this character. This movie follows this character as if it is his story, but actually this movie is told in different chapters by the other characters in the story from the point of view of how they interact with him.
Oh,
So I feel like that's actually why this movie feels like this. It's probably these are the different sections of the book where he might be I don't know what character is what. I would guess that the first one's probably the old man. The second one might be the sculptor, and then the third one I could definitely see being the barmaid. So we're gonna. I feel like that's why it feels like this. So it made me interested in checking out the book for sure.
yeah. Well, and the movie ends too with him just he jumps onto his houseboat and he just
That's right.
shoves off and he's like, "Oh, time for the next adventure."
Yeah, I'm off. Yeah,
And
I think even a boat passing by is like, "Where are you going?"
well, and they've talked about how rickety that boat is too, and like whenever there was a storm, she's like, "There's just as much water outside as there is in here, as
Mhm.
out there," and that boat looks so bad. Like it's not getting very far.
No, he's probably. What if he just died like that? I'm off to my next adventure, and then his houseboat sunk the next day.
It very well could be. No, but that wouldn't shock me with that guy.
Yeah.
Um, I liked the movie. It was pretty good. I like I said, it's very dependent on if you like Alec Guinness's performance or not in this movie.
hmm No, and I could totally agree with that. It's you got to enjoy his performance, otherwise you're not going to really like the rest of it. Because that's how I felt at the end. I was like, maybe the plot was a little too light for me. There's like parts where I don't feel like I was loving it, or maybe it meandered a little. But what kept me around and what kept me interested was just seeing what Alec Guinness would do next. What was his next scheme? So I think in the end I could be like, yeah, this is an enjoyable movie worth checking out. Not amazing, not perfect, but it was still a good time.
I totally agree with you 100%. I was kind of like the plot of the movie really wasn't keeping me like that engaged in it that much,
Mhm,
but what made me stick around, like you said, was Alec Guinness' performance in this, where he even though like he's kind of a low life in this one, he's very charismatic. He's
mhm,
got very witty, so you are very interested to hear what he has to say. I would have liked a little more cohesiveness in the plot, or maybe something a little more
mhm,
solid to kind of appreciate. But um, like I said, it was a decent movie. It was a good performance. Um, I'd give it a recommend. Yeah.
yeah, cool. Well, then we're both in agreement. But Ryan, what are we covering on Thursday?
Well, Nathan, we are going to be covering a sequel to a movie that we've done before. We are doing Deadliest Prey, and that is streaming on Tubi right now.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to watch that one. And if you want to email us, you can email us at drivingdoublefeaturepodcast@gmail.com. You can also comment on YouTube. You can comment on Spotify if you don't want to email us. That gets right to us as well. But until next time.
Until next time.